Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on Adobe Live. If we could just invite you, we would love to have you join the Adobe Live community, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us at Adobe Live on Instagram for the latest streams, updates, and more. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce today's guest, the amazingly talented illustrator animator Scott Thigpen. Hi, Scott.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you in the chat. I see Shauna Lynn. Hello.
Oh, there she is.
Marcia.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We've got a
hmm
lot of activity in the chat. A lot of people excited to watch you work today, Scott. Let us know where you're tuning in from today. I'm based in New York. Where are you based, Scott?
Austin, Texas.
Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, let
hmm
us know in the chat where you're tuning in from and know that I will be monitoring our Behance chat today. So, if you have any questions for Scott while he's working, I will relay them to him. And, Scott, if you're ready, it would be awesome if you could just give us a little intro of yourself, a little bit about your background, and show us a little bit of your work. And then we'll
Sure.
jump into what you have for us today.
All right. I will show my work in just a minute.
Okay.
It's sort of like patting your stomach and rubbing your head. I can't do both at the same time, and all you'll get is a bunch of So my name is Scott Thigpen. I have been an illustrator and an animator, one of those since for the past 25 years. Worked for DreamWorks and Wall Street Journal, and actually just wrapped up a feature with Sony Animation. I think it's coming out next year called Fixed. I teach a workshop that is about shape design, which we're going to go over today.
Okay.
And I am going to pull up my art. I just realized I was like, oh yeah, I got all this together. I have all the images, getting them up. Like I have it defaulted to when you open an image, it goes straight into Photoshop. So I'm trying to just do the slideshow. So if you give me just 2 seconds.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. We're
there it
very
is.
patient.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. So this is some of my work that I've done just over the years. This is more my biz dev portfolio than my previous illustration stuff. I worked for the Wall Street Journal. It was very fast paced, and they usually would call at the very end of the week, and they would need a finished by Saturday morning to go for the Sunday lifestyle, and
Wow.
it was always a big rush. So I moved over to this because I like creating worlds and making making just places that I want to exist in, or something that means a lot to me uh, in my mind. And
Wow.
so with all these, I told you I'm going to do the Wizard of Ah the whole time. Like it's I was taught like a long time ago in a public speaking class, like never do the Wizard of Oz, which is uh. So I'm
It's
working
okay,
real hard
Scott.
at that.
It's okay.
uh,
We're here for you. It's going
hmm.
great.
I've recently pivoted over to doing more character design.
Oh,
It is something that I've enjoyed a whole lot more. Of course, character design, prop design, and environments and backgrounds all use
wow.
shapes. I just really enjoy doing shapes with characters. It's a whole lot of fun with that. And true to Halloween, we're going to do some spookier shapes today,
Yay.
and I'll go over my process in Photoshop of how I put together uh, shapes to create a powerful image, and the same way that you can take your stuff and do it as well. So this is, yeah, I think about it. Yep. So that's my portfolio. And lastly, um, I've got the one thing, and hopefully this is okay to show, but I mean it's nothing bad. But on my website, I have a place called the Creative Pen Workshop,
Oh,
and
nice.
my business partner and I, my business partner B and I, put this together to run like a one-off workshop, and we have different times that we offer it. So I have a link that if B is in the chat, you can come over here and register. I think we've got the 8th and 11th coming up. And so I have it on my wallpaper too. If you want to, if anybody's watching this, I've got a 20% off coupon for there. So
Oh, that's
there's
real
my,
sweet.
yes. So there, it's just for this Adobe workshop. We did Adobe Pen 20 to get 20% off. So that's me in a nutshell for what I do in the art world. And so it's Halloween this today, so I was thinking we could do some spookier type shapes, if that's okay with you.
I think the chat is ready for stuff
Oh,
spooky. I mean, I'm ready
okay,
to. I'm
okay.
very much in the spirit. So take us there,
Yes.
Scott.
All right. So here's my picture of a ghost. You can see, you can't see it, but it's there. Just kidding. But all right. So I do this. This is a commonly used uh, war, warm up that I do a lot. It's a shape design thing that I love doing, and anybody can do this at just at different skill levels, which is, we're all, all artists are on the same journey, just we're at just different points of the trail.
Well
So
said. Mhm.
uh, Photoshop, it's funny, because I have been in the industry, since the 90s, which means most of my training was with pencil and paper.
Mhm.
People always say, "What do you like, traditional or digital better?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, digital." Traditional doesn't come with Control or Command Z, so you can undo
See?
it. Yeah, and I'll be using that a lot. So I want to give a tip, or a way that I do some shape warm ups and then just turn those into fun little monsters. I grab the arrow tool, and I just I come and I make a fun shape, and it usually makes no sense, right? And then
Oh,
I'll hold down Shift to get the little plus on my lasso and do another shape. And then we'll do one more just for fun. I haven't thought these shapes through or anything. I just kind of made them. So
okay.
I'll come over here and just fill them uh, with the color slider. And let's pick some scary colors. We'll get a green
Oh
in there,
yeah.
and then we'll do one of them purple, and we'll do a scary greenish blue.
Nice.
So I've made these weird shapes. They really don't make any sense. I put them on a layer, or what they do, they make sense, but they'll make more sense in a moment. I put them on one layer, and I'm just gonna give another layer. Oh, the other thing is the save.
Oh
So in
yeah.
case it
Look,
crashes,
you
um,
know what, Scott? You
yeah,
just yep, there it goes. Save.
yeah,
Boom.
yeah. And I remember years and years and years ago where Adobe did not have an autosave feature, and I had this program that would uh, take over Photoshop and save it. So like if you had like a 1 or 2 gig file and
Ooh.
and you were in the middle of drawing and it was like, oh, it's time to save. You're like, well, I guess I'll go run around the block, do that. So the first thing I would do is look at these shapes and say, well, what do these look like? And
Mm.
this purple one has this triangle here. So it has more of a vampiric collar looking thing. And this
Oh.
one is sort of saggy. And so it would maybe more have a zombie feel to it. And this one has more of a ghosty feel, at least the way I'm looking at it. And the way I'm
Yeah.
looking at it is I'm going to lighten this layer up just a little bit and then go on the second layer. And just with a heavy pen, I want to show what my brain is looking at.
Okay.
Of course, I see these shapes like so, but I am looking at them more as if they were something you could pick up or more in a 3D look. So I'll try to find a plane. Um, this one will be a lot better to start. So there would be the plane to show that we have uh, just some form of a shape.
Oh,
So
okay.
and I kind of draw a grid for myself. I don't do this every time. Like I've done it enough that it's intuitive for me to figure it out. And also, uh, I use flow. The way I have my pen pressure, I have a flow, and I never really know what this button is called, the airbrush button. I just have it like the button. Oh, flow and
Oh,
opacity. Yes, yes, yes. So I have flow and
okay. Yeah.
opacity put on just so I can have some light marks.
Okay.
So I have I've set up this blob, right? And
Uh-huh.
anybody can make a blob. All I've done is gone through here and made a really rudimentary grid. And so here I'll do the same thing. I'll find a face of the grid and then come around and use that as a way to give it some volume, just so I can
Mhm.
see where things are going. So with this one, we'll have the dividing line there. We'll keep it at an angle and divide, whoops, divide there. And I'm not looking for accuracy right now.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm looking for is where are my planes and how can I draw over them? So all of a sudden, these shapes that I made take form. And I didn't really think this through, but of course, I'm just kind of putting some stuff down. But as I'm doing this, my brain is starting to make stories about what these shapes are, and they're quick stories. Like when I first started doing this, and somebody was like, "Yeah, you know, you want to make a story?" You know, I'd sit aside and go, "Well, the guy's name is Fred, and you know, he works 2 hours away, and you know, and you don't do
Uh-huh.
that. Just little stories. And what I mean by little stories is I look for moments. This right here is a triangle, obviously. Here is more of a square looking square rhombus square. And then this one is very organic, but let's see if I can pick out what else. Oh yeah, yeah. So it's got some smoother um shapes to it. I mean, I know there's a hard edge there, but they've got these smooth edges. So in
Yeah.
our world, the way that shapes work is this triangles usually mean the villain. You know, if I turn this off,
Ah,
you know, this would be like a shark's tooth or, you know, a monster going ah like that. And you
true.
have
Yeah.
so you have that. Let me turn this back on. This one is sort of like I said, my rhombus square. Squares can mean brave or boneheaded or stalwart or, you know, hard to move. And so we're going to make this guy a zombie. So I want to make sure that I just have, you know, more of a sort of a boneheaded guy because, you know, zombies want to eat brains because they don't have any. And then the last is our friend, the circle. Circles are friendly. They're something you would approach, you know, like think of a fat little kitten or something.
Oh.
Also drew an accidental Mickey. But this is what gives me a look for we're going to do this one. Maybe he's more of a villain. This guy's going to
Hmm.
be a little more on the boneheaded side, and this one will be our friendly fella.
Okay.
Uh, so I work on like 9,785,000,000,000 layers at once. So this is going to get to be a very large file, but I'll try to keep it down. So I
That's
like to
cool.
keep things on an opacity. And what I do is just make another layer. And it's funny, so much of me thinks about like, well, I need to hit save, but boy, that auto save is the best thing ever.
Oh
So
yeah, literally lifesaver.
yeah. So I use the other thing is I use a brush by Shiyun Kim, Siyoonkim, and he just has a brush pack that I like. There is I could go in. I wanted to point this out. I could go in with a
Yeah.
hard brush, like just you know some of Kyle Webster's brushes
Yeah.
that come with Photoshop. I say all that because you don't need to buy another brush.
Mhm.
It's just that this brush was one that I'm really used to. Like some people like mechanical pencils, and that's all they buy. I just
Yeah.
happen to like the way that this one, especially when you hit the flow and opacity, gives you these cool swoopy lines, right? But
Oh yeah.
you can do that with any of this. And oh yeah, the other thing I want to point out with the swoopy lines, which is a different practice. So this is sort of just my bread and butter of making lines like this. And basically what I'm doing is starting really light and then I push down, but I don't do it slow because you get these weird angles
Uh,
that so for me, God, I love undo. And so for me, I try to move where I'm constantly pushing my hand down and I have to be careful because if
mm,
I don't do it right, it you get these weird breaks. So it's
okay.
it's one of those if like it's one of these it's just muscle memory, but I have the best tip for doing muscle memory on this. You know those
Oh,
really boring meetings that could have been better done with an email
all
while
the
they're
time,
talking.
Scott.
Yes. So what you do is like when Bob is up there saying, we're going to look at these 9,000 slides with 800,000 million bullet points, you could just sit here and do this, you know, and this works with quill brushes, traditional brushes, ink
Uh-huh.
pens, or anything, and just come in and try to make these cool. I call it the sexy S. And you want to, humans love this. And if you study, if you take any Disney character and you study them, you will find these S curves
Oh wow.
everywhere on them. And so, and and the times that I have to sit in meetings that I hate, I do these type things to make these pretty lines. So corporate America made me a better artist.
Oh, well, that's great. That's a
Yeah.
great takeaway.
Yeah. The other couple of things I do, and this again, it's one of these you have to practice, is straights to curves. And you'll see this when I start drawing. If
Okay.
I do a straight, I'm going to immediately, I mean, if I do a curve, I'm going to immediately use a straight to complement it. It's almost like Reese's Buttercups, like chocolate and peanut butter go so well together. And you can do this. And the other thing I do is if I made a curve here, I'm going to make a curve here, which means I'm going to make a curve here and complement those with straights. And it just in humans' brains love this look. It's just something if I was to really kind of play this out right now, I could put some hair here and we'll put a little tattoo of a anchor here. And then we'll add in some quick fingers, and all of a sudden I've got like a Popeye / sailor. I'm being really quick, but boy, that is a really manly sailor.
I know, like
But
so many muscles.
yes, but so then you have this look and feel of a nice, even like I've turned stuff like, well, I haven't turned stuff this rough to a designer or an art director, but just enough where they can say, okay, I see where your head is at now. So,
Mhm.
and it still has a lot of feeling and emotion. So back to our squares, I'm going to put my little grid on here. Like I said, generally I don't use the grid anymore just because I just see it. It's sort of like once you've learned another language, you have to study and study. And then
Mhm.
one day you just kind of get it, right? So
Yeah.
if if I was to say, actually I want to do the zombie first.
Oh, yeah, shout out
So
to the zombie.
yes. So I kind of have this whole look going on right here that's in my brain, and I want to just flesh it out. I have a little skull, not a live one, but nobody's real skull. I just have a tiny little maquette of a skull,
Oh,
and I use it to look at. So a lot of times I glance up at the skull to see what it looks like, so I can start to flesh out my head a little bit more. For me, the thing that helped me the most with heads
mhm.
and drawing them, there's an old artist book called How to Draw Heads by Loomis, Loomis. And
Oh,
Loomis makes it's from yesteryear, but he has one page in it and you can just type in head construction, and he has one page in it that uh, will you just kind of go over the exercise over and over. And I must have drawn thousands of these.
wow.
So it just this becomes muscle memory as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to lay out a few things for our zombie here to sort of craft out a head. And a
Yeah.
thing that a lot of artists make mistakes over, like I'm just going to like throw the kitchen sink of information in 90 minutes. But the thing
Yeah.
artists are guilty of, and I am too, is like I used to do when I'd make an eye, I'd make one like eye really good. And then my brain would go, well, this eye obviously needs to be smaller or jump off. And nope, eyes are the same. It's just that you hide it behind the nose for the same size. That way, if you do it over
Oh.
this way, the art directors will catch you unless you're doing it intentionally. So
Hmm.
it's best to kind of keep eyes inside your facial structure. In fact, here's your history lesson for the day. This
Oh.
area right here is or our anatomy lesson.
Hmm.
This is your zygomatic arch that goes like this. And with that, the way it was built was that our primitive brothers and sisters, when this was constructed this way, that if something hit them this way or hit them this way, it would not poke their eyes out. So it's
Wow.
best to remember to keep everything kind of in there. So let me back up again, and
Wow, Scott. I
Yes.
mean, you're just like a well of knowledge. I mean, everyone is like having a lot of fun in the chat.
Oh,
Daryl's
good.
like, this is what a great exercise for doodling. Robert's
Mm-hmm.
like, cool workflow.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is just already shaping up to be something very interesting. I
Well,
am
thank you.
so excited to see how this unfolds.
Oh, I am
Um,
too, because I have no idea where I'm going with it. So
that's part
I
of the
was,
fun of it.
yes, a friend of mine, I don't know if she's in the chat. B, she, she's like, "Are you ready for all this?" And I'm like, "Nope." Actually, you guys had B on the show a few months back, and I was like, "I am, but I am not," because I just came in from the Animation Expo in LA, and I'm still. I mean, it just wore me out. So I
Yeah.
still feel like I feel like this guy right here. So
Bit of a zombie
yeah,
feeling today.
so
But
we'll no, that's got too much personality. So zombies, another cool thing, like
yeah.
um you want to positioning eye. So if I do it that way, he has too
Mhm.
much personality. Zombies are kind of brainless, hence the
Yeah.
whole thing brains. That doesn't work. So a lot of times that's a little too vampiric. So what if that's a little Homer Simpson-y-ish. So I'll spend some time there. That kind of a glassy eyed, and then I have the mouth here. And one other thing, this I'm looking at this all with shapes, and that's
Hmm.
what's important. So I want to pause just for a second and kind of let me go to a red here. Um, okay, so this is everything I just crafted out on this guy. It's muscle memory, and it's just
Hmm.
like I said, that Loomis book helps, and doing the doodles, but also this is where it's kind of fun is you sort of look at things as shapes. So this guy blocky, no brain, we don't have any idea what's going on in there. So I when I'm laying this guy out,
Hmm.
like there's a circle here that's going to be kind of squarish and here, and it's it is and it isn't shapes. It's shapes that you have to kind of remember. But
Hmm.
I have a square here and I have a square here, and I'm working off the planes of the human head, of course. This is
Right.
one plane right here, and then this plane would go here, and then you'd even have some different plane changes, which helps with the nose a lot to get it. With all that, I'm just looking at this as circle shapes and squares, circles, triangles, and squares
Uh-huh.
for this. I'm not. I mean, I am thinking about anatomy, but our bodies, our minds respond so well to symbols and shapes, and they work so well together in graphic design, of course, but they do
Hmm.
in this. And like one of the most famous shape-driven movies is Hercules, and when they were developing Meg in there, they actually used a Greek vase for Meg's shape. So
Oh,
she has this
interesting.
very stylized shape,
Yeah.
and so boy, this is going to be a terrible picture of Meg. But
So,
they focused. Disney hire me. They focused on the vase and then drew the body around it. So it's the same thing here. Is that I'm trying to get that into that fella, and oops, drew over my person. That's the other thing is layer management is so much fun. Um, so I'm going to
we all do
quickly,
it.
yeah, I'm going to quickly draw this guy out just a little bit again.
No
And
worries.
get that fella back drawn in here.
Well, while
This,
you're roughing that back in,
yes,
Scott, if I could just ask you so that everyone can know, what are you using? Are you on your desktop? Are you
yes.
on a tablet or what's your setup?
I use Photoshop almost exclusively on a tablet. Um,
Okay.
and I have just, okay, so there's that other program that tablet wise you guys have to compete against. But I have just started switching over to Fresco, and oh my God, I love it. I mean,
It's
it's,
amazing.
yeah, I mean, just the fact that I can say, hey, I need that brush,
Yeah.
or what was that file I'm working on? And I'm not knocking any other products out there, but it makes it so easy
Yeah, it does.
to do that. So
Um,
um, so we have this fella here now. So we'll we'll give him for time's sake, more of a Homer Simpson looking zombie. Um, and also, if I was to really start to be like doing a real character design, like if somebody said, hey, would you come in and we need to flesh out this girl for this movie, and how does it look? I would have like 800 billion references up on my other screens. It's very important. But this is drawing from memory, and this to me is some of the most fun ever, is to draw. Just it's kind of like getting to meet people in a coffee shop and just saying, oh boy, we're just going to sit and kind of doodle and have a lot of fun. And of course, that's where ideas come from as well.
Yeah.
And this might be, I've got to think just a little bit. So if I don't, if I start to say a bunch, it's because my brain is trying to think as well. So I'll try to talk at the same
It's
time with this.
it is totally okay, Scott. We're here to marvel at your process. It
Oh,
already looks so great.
well, thank you.
Shauna in the chat says that your color choices for these shapes are just, so great. Also, a
Oh,
lot
thank
of
you.
fresco love in the chat. A lot
Yeah,
of fresco fans. So,
I really, really like it. I mean, there was a learning curve.
oh yeah, with anything,
And
yeah.
I was like, I think it took me like an hour to figure out how to add in a picture. I was like, where's the stupid picture button? But then I found it, and that's just UI, right? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
how it's done. So we'll give this guy a somewhat of an arm, but let's say his hand got chewed off. So we'll
Oh
make a
my God,
very
I love
traditional.
it.
So we have this just for a sketch. So I'm going to go on to our vampy friend here. So I, in the shape I made, I had this up here, and I want to
Uh-huh.
really kind of focus mainly on triangles because I
Okay.
want him to be bad, but maybe we'll add he's I haven't added in the face yet, but let's
Hmm.
add in his little vampiric cloak
Yeah.
like so. And then um I'll just erase here, and we'll make him a non-threatening vampire. So we'll just
Oh.
kind of give him. I'll use some of these purples for some eyes, and I'm going to come back and clean this up. And for me, I really, really like to exaggerate. And if you do feature animation, it's
Hmm.
usually 70-30. So 70% uh, real and lifelike, and 30% stylized. And I'm the absolute opposite. I like uh, very stylized stuff, and not uh, realistic. I can do it. It's just hard. And I love trying to push shapes. So with this one, I want to point out again that I'm
Hmm.
doing triangle, triangle, triangle,
Uh-huh.
triangle, triangle. I'm really trying to sell the point that this guy is maybe somebody you wouldn't want to mess with. So
Yeah.
it's really important to do that. And I have just kind of a rudimentary look. Of course, no vampires complete. Let's red teeth. And
Oh
so down
yeah.
here, we'll go with our ghost. And with this one, I want to make him approachable, or her, or it, approachable. So I've got, I did my grid, so I can come in here, and, I'm using my blobs to sort of as a way to figure out what I want to do, which I'm still
Hmm.
trying to figure out in my mind. We'll make the ghost not scary, but something that would be of like, if you saw it floating through your room, you'd be like, okay, I just need to change my pants because I just wet them. So so we'll do some wiggly fingers here. And with
Oh.
this one, I am again trying to focus on um only round shapes and everything. So all three of these guys have different looks. Here,
Right.
this guy, where you wouldn't want to meet him down a dark alley. He's going to bite you. This guy, you could probably outrun because he wouldn't even know which way to go. Plus, he can't even get you because of this club arm. And then this guy's, I'm still thinking it through, but it's a scary ghost, right? It's a scary pose, but he's all soft and everything. So it
Yeah.
would, or I say he, but I mean whatever. Like that, he is in Universal, but so like Casper. So I've made these three. So I have this now. And because of my ill layer management, or not ill layer, just because this just gets out of control, I
Uh-huh.
grab all these and I'll just kind of put, raw one, and I'll duplicate it, because if I need to go back to this original file, I want to be able to get it. And usually for me, for layer management, I'd put red for I'm not using this layer.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and if I got, and like this one to be orange because it's going to be my next draft. And I'm going to merge that group. So it's all on one. And then I shrink it way, or not shrink it, I turn the opacity way down.
Okay.
And for me, what I do, so a lot of people say, well, how do you get your ideas and stuff? And references, of course, right? I mean, you
Right.
need those really bad. But for me, like music is huge. And like I have like specific
Oh,
playlists for specific things. So if I was doing a vampire, maybe I would listen to, very goth music, or if it's a silly vampire, maybe I'd listen to like the theme song from What We Do in the Shadows. And I'm a little weird, and I don't recommend people doing this because they'll go insane. I just listen to the same song on repeat.
oh my
So
gosh.
yeah.
But it just, I guess
So
it locks you in and
oh
focuses
yeah,
you maybe.
it does. That's my own little Scott life hack. In fact,
Okay.
I was doing a funny mermaid, and I was doing the Spice Girls as mermaids, and like I just
That's
left it
cool.
on Spice Girl repeat, and I think my wife's like, if you play that again, I'm going to kill you. So uh
That's so funny though. I mean, if it works, right? I
it does,
mean,
yes. So now that I have a look, a feel, and everything, these are my sketches. I could do these forever and ever, but if I really want to go in and and start to think about this, I want to focus on two things. One, to retain the shapes and energy, or the energy of the shapes I made, and two, to make sure that I keep it as a form. So, like if I was to come in here and just do just a triangle and start drawing in here, stylistically it might look good, but it'll get flat really quick. So I want to stay with that. And
Mm,
then the energy is really hard to do when inking, because I want to make sure that I retain, these really interesting lines here. And I have a tendency to go flat when I get into the stage. So I have to really kind of check myself. So it's a lot of um, checking, looking, undoing, starting over.
mhm.
And that is one big thing I don't mind doing is like I start over a bunch just because like I want to make sure it's nailed. So I'm going to start with let's see. I was going to make this as cake, but I like them as ears. So we'll
I
attach
think they
ears.
look cool as ears too. I'm just
Yeah.
like, it just
Uh,
looks really awesome.
So you can see here, even though this line, this like almost two straight triangles,
Mhm.
what will kind of separate you from other people is if, and let me lighten this up a little bit more. I try to keep it as low as possible, and just be able to barely see the lines, but I'm going to use a much smaller brush now. I can still get
Oh.
these, I can still get it where I can do light, and I'm just not doing any pressure, and then
Mhm.
I put it down and do a lot of pressure. For me, the big aha moment for actually controlling this in on my tablet was
Mhm.
the pen pressure settings. I always just had it in the
Mm.
middle, but I'm heavy-handed, and so I put the pressure all the way like super hard. So like
Ah.
it that works for me. But if you're like soft or light-handed or barely touch the screen, you'd want it the other way around, like to have it super soft. So
Uh-huh.
so I'm going to do the thing I said first, which is to add um, a straight to curve. And I do this so much where it's do this, nope, do this, nope. And you finally you just go, okay, that's the line. So once I have that, um, because I have my guides, I can kind of see, this is going to be to the side. So overlapping your shapes too is really important. Like this will right here create the illusion of that this ear is here on this plane
Mhm.
and not. And so when I do this one, it'll be hidden behind here. This is so super important to kind of layer stuff. So if we'll have shape 1, and then shape 2 is right here, and shape 3, and I have it where it's overlap, 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 and that makes your characters way more believable when you have that, because it's not going to be like you can kind of see it even without the grid.
No, it's true. Yeah.
And so let me get back to black, and then so the other thing I love so much about Photoshop, and I, of course, when I drew traditional, I could do
Mm-hmm.
this. It just was a ton of stuff. Is to just grab with your pen,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if his ear is there, so I'm gonna do this ear here, like so, where at least those two touch. Because the
Oh,
other things
nice.
humans like are symmetry. So I have this done. I really like that I've gave him like a big naughty nose, so I want to make sure that I keep that. Again, I'm sitting here going, what feels the best?
Mm-hmm. No, it's
And
cool how you iterate like that and you just
mm,
sort of know it when you see it, I guess, when it's like,
yes,
that's the one.
yeah, and I mean, it's sort of, I mean, it art's a skill, and it's the same thing with anything. Well, so when I was learning Spanish, and I can't speak it anymore, but a long time ago, my tutor would say, okay, this is how you say telephone, is telefono. And I would say that, and she would say, you are so off. It's not telefono. It's like telefono. And I just couldn't say it. And I still can't say, I can't roll my tongue at all. And it's just practice that you get it. But, I remember having to practice, trying to say Spanish words correctly for so much. And uh, it's just a lot where you go over and over, and finally that one moment you're like, aha, I got it.
No, it's
um
true. Yeah.
so with the nose, I added just a tiny bit here to show the three-dimensional nose, and I could have it come down to a point, but since I've already got these two right here, I'm going to keep it just a little blocky, and I do a lot
Okay.
of turn off, turn on. So we'll make it
Okay.
where it hangs over a little bit, and then um, uh, with this is the reason I have opacity and flow turned on, so I can just get this quick. If I just barely go over it, I can see the line, and then I can come in here and draw it, and I don't have to spend the next 8 years erasing things out. Other
True.
artists have other ways of doing it. That is just
Uh-huh.
my way of doing it. Um, for the sake of this demo, it would be good enough for that. And then he's looking at us straight up, so you would be able to maybe see some of the nostrils. So it's mainly just a curve like that. But
Okay.
let's get to the fun part, which is the eyes, my favorite part, because
Ooh.
eyes are the interest of the soul. So there's another trick. And again, if you study characters, you can see this a lot. I'm going to use this ear to this ear as my area for my eyes.
Oh, perfect.
So I want everything to connect up on this one line right here.
Okay.
And again, that's a big trick that a lot of people use in the industry. And so now that I've got the top of the eyes, I'm just going to, yeah, if we were all to take a fork and pop out our eyeball, they all are round. And so it's the skin folds that give you the interesting stuff. So I always,
Right.
actually, it's way better if you do eyes on a different layer. So um, I'm gonna get just one eyeball in,
All right.
and then and I'm not worried about shadows or anything. I just want to have it in there. And then what I do is with this one, you can do what is you hold down Alt and then Shift, and I can shift over another eye here.
Yeah. Nice
Uh,
duplicate.
yes, best thing ever. And then I just have a command where I merge those two files back down. Whoops, wait, no, I don't. I will merge them soon, but not yet.
Okay.
Uh, so now I have two eyes to go, and I still want to keep on that center line. So we're going to say his brow or his eyebrows are here. Another trick I learned a long time ago was that, or not a long time ago, but not too long ago, is that your eyebrows, because you have your eyelashes up there, that's always going to be heavier than down here. And so then with that I've got this other spot where the top is. Again, I'm thinking of an eye as a bulbous ball or as a sphere in there.
Hmm.
So, um, your eyelid comes down like that and would carry over that way. And then same thing here. You have this, now we have eyelids, and we're going to use these. I'm really good at drawing bags under eyes because I have them every single morning now. So I sit, push them up in my eyes again. So I am
Oh
a
my god.
master eye bag drawer.
Oh my gosh.
So the the other thing with the designing is I want to make sure everything is kind of consistent too. So I want to make sure that if I've got two lines to denote bags, that I do it over here as well. So
Hmm.
sometimes you'll put like 3 here, maybe 4 here, and that's fine. You can go back and add that in, but it doesn't work as well. And then I want to give him uh, maybe just little slits for eyes, but maybe even triangles, because like we could go the Disney route where like you have the eyes and the little lints of light, and that looks fine, but I was looking more for a um whoops.
Thought the
um
triangles looked more sinister,
yes,
kind of.
yes.
Yeah.
And and vampires are always so stoic, so maybe this is where, with the designing part, we have another element that I can kind of keep that menacing stoic look. We
Hmm.
have eyebrows. So the the thing about eyebrows, we all really just have one unibrow, like all of us humans do. And like if you just do that, you have a perfectly well done eyebrow. Well, for practical purposes, or I mean, for this, I'm gonna make sure that, let's get it. Maybe he's a all right. So I have that. And so I have one eyebrow, and we're just gonna go get him a little trim up here. And
Nice.
now we have that working, and we have a face. And also, Alana, I
Hmm.
will talk and talk and talk. So if we're getting close on time, let me know so I can speed through the other ones.
I
Uh,
will let you know.
okay.
We are about 10 minutes into the next hour, so got
Oh,
maybe like 40 minutes left.
oh, excellent. All right.
And just a reminder to anyone who's just now joining us, we've got Scott Thigpen with us, and he is drawing some spooky Halloween characters, and he's showing us his process in Photoshop using and mastering shapes to
Mhm.
just create these amazingly expressive characters. And we're working on the vampire right now, so yeah, if you have any
Right.
questions, let him know. We'll
Mhm.
pass them along from the chat. Make sure you're following Scott around social media. He's got an Instagram, and
Mhm.
yeah, he's just amazing. So
Well,
give
thank
him
you.
some love.
Um, so I'm gonna. The other thing about us humans is, dogs have a muzzle and most animals have a muzzle. We do too. It's just a very small muzzle. So
Ah.
that, and it would come from the nose. Um, and then, here would be our face. And I'm going to speed just a little bit along because I'll get stuck on this guy, and it'll be, you know, four
Yeah, but
o'clock
we
in
want
the,
to we want to give the other ones a little love too.
yes. Yeah. So, um, with the hair, we'll put in there, and um, we'll put fang. Oh, nah, those don't look good. Let's more Nosferatu. We'll give them the front and teeth like that.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
and
You really know your vampire, Scott.
it's because I am one. I never leave the house. I just explode in flames if I do.
Oh my
I
gosh.
love vampires. They're my favorite genre of character. I could watch them all day long.
That's
So
so
let's go
cool.
back to this. And so his face sort of doesn't match this comp I did. So maybe let's turn this way down. So this is where iterating comes over.
Mhm.
Maybe he seems to be better if he was like so. And then I try to keep, when I'm starting to do cleanup, I try to keep
Mhm.
to just smaller lines. it is so easy to do big lines and hide your mistakes.
Ah,
So I try to not do that. So our Vampy guy, I'm going to come back to him and do some funny or not fun, some little fun tips and tricks that I'll show you can do to make your work really sing. But for now, let's
nice.
leave him alone and we'll go to our zombie. So um, I really want to focus on him being, he has no, his only lot in life now is to eat other brains of people. Also love zombies, but not like vampires. But quite the fan
Um,
of zombie movies.
yeah, let us know in the chat. What are you guys fans of, zombies or vampires more? I don't know. I think I just watched what was that vampire movie, Renfield or
Oh, I
something?
want to see it so bad. I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, you should see it. Yeah, great vampire design, I think, with Nicolas Cage there.
Yay.
So
I mean, that looks like just pure fun.
it is.
So yes, I would. It is. I might watch it tonight. We used to live in an area in Austin where we just had a billion kids come, but we moved and now we don't have that anymore. So it's like, I get to eat all the candy myself. Um, the other thing I want to talk about too is I'm trying. I don't like using shadows much because it's just a preference. So
Okay.
like when I mean I will and I'll show you later on. But what I'm doing is if there's an area that there is some occlusion or shadow, I just try to darken in there.
Okay.
So it kind of once you scroll out, it gives it some depth. But we will kind of
Nice.
pull this in and
Uh,
this
I
zombie has. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I
Oh,
just see B your business partner in the chat saying big vote for vampires, and
mm,
that they also enjoyed Renfield.
yes, it is on
So
my list. So here's a trick. Um,
mm,
so I'm gonna turn all these off. Um, I, something that'll help with your work. So I drew this
mhm,
tooth in it, and we're that's going to kind of be a key moment for this. But even if I um, get get there, it looks like a tooth a little bit, but it's also boxes when you turn them, they have a side to it. So we have this
mm,
side and this side. So a little trick you can do is just with this one, this doesn't work, but if I come right here and just erase that point and do
mhm.
exactly that to here, then all of a sudden it has much more of a depth. And I'm just going to imply right there that's a tooth, and just with those three lines
Yeah.
it gives it more of a look and feel. And again, if you go look at any TV animation, you'll see that where it'll just be just a subtle little line like so, and
Yeah, you
then
didn't
you
even have
get
to put
to
in that line super heavy for it to just
no,
like communicate
yeah,
very nicely. That's
yeah.
nice.
I mean, your brain fills in the gaps. Like, watch this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something,
Okay.
and I guarantee you, within the chat, by the time I get done with this less than 1 second shape, everybody will know what it is, which is, and we're talking about McDonald's because yellow M is so powerful. So your brain will start to fill in hamburgers, French fries, and
Yeah.
so same thing here. Your brain will fill in the gaps of stuff. So it makes it very nice to have that. There's also a fun one is the rule of three.
Oh yeah.
People, we all like. If you go and look at any hero movie, there's Gandalf, there's Samwise and Frodo, there's Harry, there's Hermione, there's Ron, there's Han, Luke, and
Oh,
Leia. And so we
that's
like threes in almost
yeah.
everything. So I'm going to keep it at three teeth. Let's make this one a little smaller. And I'm going to vary them a little bit. And that will, we like it when things are big, medium, and small. In fact, the movie that does it almost exclusively good is the reboot of Dune. I
Ah,
didn't love the movie, but I did love all the big, medium, and small that they had in there. So it was a
okay.
good one to watch to sort of learn that. But lots of movies do that. So we have a lip, and then
That's awesome.
we'll there he is. That's what I was looking for. Just kind of a
Ah,
clueless fella. And so I'm going to leave his eyes glassed over, as you know, that it just gives him more of a zombie feel. We want to
Absolutely.
keep with this. I'm keeping with all this square look
Hmm.
with stuff. So I'm going to come in with some, you know, big, thick. This is just something. It's my own preference. Big,
Uh-huh.
thick eyebrow. And let's just say he is not the most stylish zombie ever, and he did not go get his what is it called when people get their eyebrows threaded? Is
Oh,
that it?
threaded. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
like threading. Yeah, there's a whole
yeah.
bunch of stuff.
So he did not get his unibrow covered this for this one. So he apologizes for not being stylish on the Adobe show.
That
You're
feels
never being asked
very,
back, zombie.
it feels very on brand for a zombie, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm
Very
going to
well.
stick with again with just uh, you know, basic flowy shapes. Um, I could come back in here and add in a little bit of a, well, I could do it here just to show. Here's again, it's 3D, right? But this is
Yeah.
a square. That's
Right.
all that is, and this is a square. It's just put together, and an ear um, is you know, a circle with a question mark in it. It's what I call it. So it's like an upside down question mark if I was to
I
turn
love
this
that.
around. It that's basically what I do for, like, if I have to like really draw an ear, that's one thing. And then the mandible is here, and we'll come here, and I'm gonna, just for this sake, I'm not gonna render them all out
Oh yeah, we've
for the
got
sake of
like
time.
around
Oh,
30-ish, 35-ish minutes left.
perfect. Now he's a little stiff, and I'll go
Uh-huh.
back and fix that. There's no worries there. Where'd my vampire go? Good. I'll go and fix that in a minute, and I'll show you a couple of tricks with that too. So let's go to our soft, spooky ghost, and
Yay.
I'm just gonna go with the other thing is the less you can use in art and the more you can imply is
Hmm.
better. Like, you know, people that have like super rendered stuff is like so awesome, but the less you can do and let the audience fill in the gaps, the better. And that's just most of the time you just need to just imply it, and
Hmm.
your audience will get it. So I haven't figured out how I want to do the hands or the fingers yet. So I'm just going to come in here, and this is what I was talking about earlier.
Hmm.
Here's a curve offset by a straight.
Right.
I do have it here. I mean, you once you know the rules, you can break it. So, but I want this guy to be, you know, swoopy, and so I don't want that ghost to be. I don't want it to be, you know, too blocky in too many areas, but I can still imply a straight curve. And I'm also trying to get this a lighter line because it's an arm in the back, and we want to show
Okay.
overlap. So we have that. And again, my plane that I want to use right here, this circle,
Hmm.
I'm going to go in like here, and I'm going to make a mark to know this is how my face is going to line up. So we'll do, for the ghost, we'll give him some different varied eyes because I want to kind of, even though I haven't said anything,
Hmm.
I want somehow to go ooh, and so this almost, his eyes almost go ooh if you were to
Yes, I think
so
so.
yeah, so and so if the center line's here, even though I drew the
Mhm.
mouth over here, I'm gonna uh, draw that, and again I'm offsetting it with a straight, even though it's a curvy straight, it's still straight.
Yes.
And we will make that no eyes, and then for time. So fingers, like hands and fingers, are like really tough to draw. And you know, when you're a
Yes.
kid, like you draw the best picture ever, and you put the hands behind, or you put them in their pockets,
Yep.
because like I don't draw hands. Hands are just tiny little people. That's the way I look at it. So
That is so
uh,
funny.
and so if we have, you know, here's a little body, here's a little body. Let's, I have to look. Okay, so the thumbs would be going out. So this, again, when you're in that meeting that could have been better done as an email, you can just
Yeah.
sit and look at your hand.
Yeah.
And there you go. You have tons of hand practice. So I'm just gonna get rid of some of these lines, And we have, and I'm gonna move him out of the way so he's not touching. There we go. So I have a guys now, and I want to try to add some value in. Now, obviously, I could sit here and go over and over and over on my work and iterate till I get exactly what I want. But we'll
Mhm.
be here all night if I do that. So, what I want to do is grab. I do this again. I'll grab everything. And you can name them anything. I'll just say raw because it's a raw file. So raw number 2,
Oh,
and I'm
nice.
gonna duplicate and hide that one, turn it to red. I wish I could tell you that I do this every single time, but I don't. Usually it's copy of a copy, like
I
beforehand, you
feel
have an
that.
entire paragraph of
Yep.
everything. So there's some lines I want to bring out. His mouth, the zombie's mouth, is a little too light.
Okay.
And this is the glory of Photoshop what I'm about to show you. And
Oh,
like the vampire, because I gave this big swoopy line here that's dark, it sort of hides his face. And let's turn off those guides.
oh,
So I'm gonna flatten this group, and then I'm gonna come over here and duplicate and duplicate, and you can see the lines get heavier and
oh,
heavier
yeah.
because
That's really nice.
I worked on uh, I worked on the opacity. So I'm going to grab all my duplicated layers and I'm going to merge those layers, and then the best thing of Photoshop ever, the mask. I'll make a mask by clicking the mask button down here, and then I'm just going to. It's white, so I'm going to fill it with black. Our lines are all gone again, and I come over working on my mask layer. I come over and just get a soft round brush that is built into you guys' suite. And the lines that I need to bring out, I'm just going to kind of brush those in, take the mask off of it. So the
Oh.
rest of it stays,
Hmm.
light, but the parts I want to accentuate and draw out start to come back in, because I don't want to like make that dark, because we just need
Right.
that kind of light. But like I do want his jaw to be a little bit more in, and it's subtle, right? But it gives me a
Yeah.
little bit. So this line, because it's so heavy, I can just come in here and do a brush right quick and pick out features I want to do with my vamp. So I definitely want the eyes focused, and especially his little teeth.
Yeah.
And then with the ghost, um, we're going to fill in those areas. So I'm not going to mask any of that in.
Okay.
And I think I'll legit put his hand backwards. Oh well. Anyway, so I have these now, and uh, in the 90s and well, in the early 2000s, all I ever used exclusively was Adobe Illustrator for everything. And with
Oh.
Adobe Illustrator, one of the best things ever is the Bezier pen tool. And
Ah.
here's the fun fact: in the 70s, they we only had boxy cars, and so this guy, Mr. Bezier, designed a tool, which is this tool. It's a mathematical process to be able to make curved corners, because at the time the technology could not make curved corners. Hence why all cars just looked like they were a little box. And
Ah.
the learning curve of the pen tool is nigh impossible. I mean, like uh I remember just it took years to get comfortable with this, but I
Yeah.
can move a lot faster than I can with the lasso tool, and a lot more accurate. So I get basically what I'm doing, I'm going to make 3 fills for my guys, because it's like important for the next section of this, which we're okay with time still.
Yeah, we've got about 20 minutes left. We
God,
can,
this moves so fast. All right.
I know time flies when you're having fun, but
Yeah,
we got a little bit of buffer in there, Scott, so that's okay.
excellent. Okay, let me. All right, I'm not going to be super accurate then, but I want to get there's a trick that I love doing, and I've never shown this trick before. So well, I've never shown it publicly. I've shown some friends,
Oh,
but it's such a fun trick to do. And I'm sure other artists do it. It's not like I have a lockdown on the secrets of Photoshop. Uh, it's just a really good trick to be able to like when you need to bring in some cell shading, or
Mhm.
some if you want to make a fill and then go back and color it. And also, if you notice, I haven't used any colors really than that first blob that I picked out. And
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to that, but
Okay,
this
cool.
is sort of the building blocks for that, what I'm doing. So basically, I'm using this Bezier tool or pen tool. I guess they don't call it Bezier anymore to create a, a cutout, and I'm going to use it to make a select pretty soon. And once I do that, I can just fill them in just like I did before. Sure, I
Nice.
could have gone the route of the lasso, but every time I do that, it ends up a mess, and it's more time on the back end than it is on the front. So I'd rather
Yeah.
just get this done now, and it's boring and monotonous and everything, but it gets the trick done. Okay, so I have these filled in, or
Nice.
I have my paths made, and over here I always have I always have my layers and paths together. So I made
Hmm.
these three paths, and if I hold down Control, I guess it's Command on a Mac,
Hmm.
um, it'll automatically outline them for me. And
Nice.
I'm going to just give me a base color, which is that. So now I have on this layer, we'll just call this the base. So
Mhm.
with this, I'm gonna go here, and this is the trick that I do. So I'm gonna go here, and with the new adjustment layer, I'm gonna make a levels, and then I always make it a clipping mask. So I'll hold down Alt,
Mhm.
and it'll clip it to that. So with this levels now, I can come over here and darken these guys in, and just like I did before with the mask,
Mhm.
I'm going to click on the mask layer. I'm going to pick black, and that's gone. And now I'm going to stick with more cell shading than like uh, more, instead of like a soft brush. But now I can come in, and with the white, that's too much. So you can actually, I'm going to bring it down to about here. Still too much.
I guess you don't want it to be that dark.
Yeah, I just want to
Mhm.
imply it.
Nice.
So let's say, okay, let's say the light is coming from over here. So then everything would be in shadow here. And again, all I'm doing is finding those planes to work off of, and those planes get shadow. Now, I am a little shading has always been a spot that is trickier for me. Like I know how to do some things, but we all have challenges, and mine's always been value structures. But I at least
Mhm.
kind of know how to wing it, so I can put in here. Maybe he's got kind of a shadow on his eye, and then so if the light is coming, wait, let's make sure I got that right. So if the light's coming in here again, we'll catch it. His side would be in shadow here. And this just gives it, you don't have to do this, but it just gives it a
Mhm.
little pop. Oh, nope, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
that. Um, I try to be as accurate as possible with these because they mean a lot. And then with the ghost, I'm not going to put shadows on him. I'm just going to fill in his eyes here.
Mhm.
So with this, now I've got this interesting. I've got a shadow map. I have, I was able to fill in the eyes. I have so much control now because if I want to make these darker, I can bring it in. I can make it lighter,
Oh.
and I have a lot of control. But here's the cool thing: I want to go back and bring in some of those colors. So if you see, so I'm gonna keep that as levels, and here I've got this thing called base. If I click this layer, and because this one is a clipping mask, if I hit the plus button, it's going to make a clipping mask automatically, and I'm going to call
Mhm.
this color. And with the lasso tool, let's say we want this guy to be green-ish, because obviously all zombies are green.
Of
Uh,
course.
and uh, so I can come in here and just hit fill, and it fills in that nicely because of the base layer here.
Nice.
And then, so we'll, like zombie green. And then I can make another one for the ghost. And now I don't ever, because I did that Bezier, I mean the pen tool, I don't ever have to worry about what's in color and out of color, or what's in lines or out of lines. I can just go and modify all this like so.
Yeah, I was thinking
And
that. That's nice.
so, and with the vamp, oh, well, hang on, let me call this ghost blue. And one more
Ghosty.
clipping mask in there, and see, it retains all the shading, and it doesn't matter what I make these colors, the levels will pick up and change that color to what it's needed to be.
Yeah, I know it's packaged so nicely. Like you did
Mm-hmm.
the tedious work in the front so that you
Yes.
can have it easier now.
Mm-hmm. So
That's awesome.
oh, and well, just for demo's sake, vamp purple. Okay, so I have all this done now. And I can come in now with I usually just pick, and I know my thing is beeping. I set a setting where I can't turn off the alerts. So whoever's beeping me on Discord, I'm really, really sorry about that. That they're doing, but I can come now and just kind of color in and pick some color harmonies.
Oh wow, those are really coming together so nicely.
Thank
Oh my
you.
goodness, this is awesome. I mean, I love Halloween, so I'm just like I love
Oh,
this spooky themed
right.
stream that we've got going. So
Yeah.
I'm just like everyone's really having a fun
Yay.
time.
Good. So I will get just a little, I'm going to leave the ghost like that. So now I come in, I can add some secondary colors and different I can make like him have a drab shirt on and well, let's do it really quick because I wanted to get to the fun part. So all this, when I started
Mhm.
doing this at first, I started with shapes, right?
Mhm.
And I did not. And again, everybody's at a different level. Everybody, well, I don't look at it as level. I look at it as we're all on the same trail, and we are just, uh, we're all on the same trail, and it's just that some of us are on different parts of the trail. And
Mm.
honestly, if you're a decent human, you help people get to where you are on the trail. And so there's just different people just have different parts of their journey. So like I say all that because I know a lot of times people are like, well, I can't draw like that, and I must suck and stuff, and you don't. It's just that I'm also 50, so I've been doing this for a little while. And I still look at people's work and go, man, I wish I could do that. Um,
Nice. That's
Another
a really
great
nice way
tool,
to think of it. Yeah.
I think so. These are a little too dark, so I use the hue sat thing all the time, and that
Mm.
is with you can hit Command U or Control U, and with the hue sat, I can just come in here, and it gives you this beautiful way to kind of see different
Wow.
colors and stuff, and so this is how I pick things. So now we have this, and this is the fun part that everybody likes to do, but I wanted to get all this down before I get to the fun stuff. So I'm going to
Okay.
grab all these and group them again, call this raw 3, and duplicate again. And I'll make this one red, turn that off, and I'm going to flatten this layer. And now that I've got this flattened, let's I know only now everything's destructive, right? Because if I whatever I move on one layer, it's going to affect another. So I'm just
Mm.
going to kind of put these just kind of in a nicer design. Like this vampire needs to be bigger to kind of work with this. And
Ooh,
um,
interesting. You know, Scott, we've got a question
sure,
brought over from YouTube.
okay.
Thank you for that, Cody. So the question is, how is it that he can see the shading under the color with 100% opacity?
How can I hang on? Let's just make sure I got this right. How can I see the shading?
The
Oh,
shading under
oh,
the
oh,
color
oh,
with the. Mm-hmm.
oh, with the levels. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. It's this right here, Cody. Just use a levels tool, and I have the levels clipped to my base layer here. So I have a zombie. I have all these 3 levels clipped to here, but I mean all these 3 layers clipped to here. But then I have this one that controls the level structure, and it doesn't matter what I do in this because I'm working on a mask. So like you can pick any gradient of from gray, white, black. And so this is going to be like super dark when I color it in, but it doesn't matter which guy I color over, it's going to pick up that the underlying color because of whatever Photoshop wizardry is done that you guys do in the secret Photoshop lab. And so I can come in and bring the shading in. And if this is going to be a little sloppy, but if I wanted to make the inside of his mouth red, I could make a layer under this clipping mask, and I could just come in, let's just choose a red, and it's going to pick up that shadow. No matter if I use like a hot pink or anything, it's still going to do shadow. Ooh, let's give him some blood on his teeth.
Ooh.
Uh, but check this out. So it's underneath the level. If I take this color here and bring it above it, it automatically removes the shadow from it.
Ah,
So
okay.
does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
I think that was a great demo and working through that to answer that question.
Okay,
And,
good.
if anyone has any other questions, feel free. We still have a little bit of time.
Sure.
And everyone, the great thing about Adobe Live is that you can watch the replays as many
Yeah.
times as you want.
Oh, yeah,
So,
it's true.
yeah, right.
Uh,
It's awesome.
okay.
So, thank
So
you for that.
here's the fun part that I like doing. I'm going to do a couple of things to really got to make these guys pop out. I have them all on one layer. There's no more, like, everything's flattened now, so I
Hmm.
can't do anything. So I come in here, and these things are like golden to me. I use them for everything. First, let's just pick a background color, and I'm gonna hit Command or Control or Command U and just kind of come in here and see what that gives a good color. And I'm just sliding the hue button back and forth. I'll find whatever works for me. But
Nice.
just to have it have a little bit oomph to it. So I have this, and so now that I have a background color, let's just move it up here. I'm going to go here, and with this, the first thing I like doing, my favorite, is color lookup. So this is like
Oh.
just basically Instagram filters put in here. So if you click it, it changes up your color look.
Oh,
And so I want to so that one gets a little scary, but there's one,
yeah.
where is it? Do horror blue.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. I never knew about this. Oh my God,
yeah.
that's so cool.
So I have this now with it. It's got, and you can do all sorts of kind of things. Like you can bring down the opacity to bring back some of your original colors and stuff.
Hmm.
But my favorite thing is now that so I have this color lookup done. Here's my three guys, and here's my background. So with my three guys, I'm going to duplicate this, and I always get mixed up how to do this or say it. So I'm going
Oh.
to do the bottom layer, and I'm going to double click the picture, the little icon, and it
Hmm.
brings up this box layer style. That's it. And
Oh,
here
okay.
in the channel, I'm going to uncheck green and blue. And then with my layer underneath, I'm just going to move out that. And so that doesn't look right. So I'm going to take it back and get rid of the red, and let's try green. And bring that down just a little bit, and then duplicate it again and click this little click the little window again till this layer star comes up. We'll take off green and put in blue. These are the channels. You're just separating the channels. It gives it this
Okay.
neat 3D look.
Yeah. I'm like
So you
at
can
the edge of my seat here. I'm like, what is he? This is so cool.
thank you.
That's
So
awesome.
and I'll play around with bringing them on top, and it's an art form. You got to really kind of do it. But I've seen a lot of artists do stuff like that, and sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. It's just a little subtle thing. And then the other thing I like doing is if I click my main window, which was this one, um,
Hmm.
if I hold down Control, you get a little, you can barely see it, but it turns into a select square. If I'm holding Control and I have my mouse over it, and if I click, it does an outline for me. And with that, I can come in, and I'm just going to make, let's do a little bit better one. No, well, let's bring it on top here. So I have just kind of an outline, and then I come in with like multiply or lighten.
Mm.
And so let's say you want to add some rim light. I can come in here, I can add a mask and fill that mask again. And now they're back to normal. But then with like a soft round brush, let's say it's some light coming from, I guess let's do below because that's kind of spooky. So I've got my black brush. Well, actually, I'm going to do my white brush on the black mask, and I can come in here and start to add just some glints of light
Oh,
to
how
give it that
fun.
spookier look.
Hmm.
And so, and with this guy, then we can make him sort of ghostly like by coming in and I could come in and do like a heavy one, but it gets kind of muddy. So I'll try to be really selective about how I add those little glints. The zombie's not going to do it because he's so bright green, but I can still add in, we could really like wash out his eyes. You want so,
Yeah.
but you have it gives you kind of a neat feel for finishing, but I never do this stuff until the very end because oh my God, there have been so many times I get all the way to this end and then it I find a giant mistake and I have to go all the way back.
Oh,
And
geez.
redo it. So once I have that, the next thing is I just kind of go through here with the layer style and play with all these. And I mean, I really have a fun time. Like the gradient map will give you these interesting looks, and um, let's just pick out, that, and then you can play with the opacity of it. You can, go through here with your layers, and I don't have a hard set rule for this. I just come and go, what looks good. Um,
Yeah.
and the other thing I do a lot is photo filter. And
Mm.
again, like say you want to warm them back up, or I can pick green and really kind of push that with it. And from there, the last thing that I do, and I can't remember where I found this,
Oh.
but in patterns, I found just several different little patterns. And so I come in, make sure I have a new layer, and just click pattern. Let's do it. Right. So I have this halftone right
Hmm.
here. And I come in and I go through here. I think it's soft light, and just add a little bit of noise, and it just gives it just a smidge of texture to the characters. Like it's subtle, but it'll be in
Yeah.
there. And I don't want it all in there. I don't want it on the background. So I can go back to my original guys right here, hold down Control, and then click this box, and then I can come up to this pattern fill. And if I hit black to fill in this area, it's gonna not work. Oh, black. It gets rid of it on my characters, but I want it on my characters, not on the background. So I'm gonna hit Control Shift or Command Shift Invert, and it does the
Oh,
back. And so I've got my black selected. I'm on the white mask, and now that's gone. And now you have kind of this interesting look. And all these right here it's really subtle stuff, but it
yeah.
it starts to really help and push your character. Yeah, it's subtle, but these are the things you want to do at the very end. You would never want to do it at the first step, like I said, because inevitably you find out you're like, oh crap, I did something wrong. I got to go back and rework the whole thing.
No,
And there we have
definitely.
scary people.
Oh my gosh, that is so phenomenal. I mean, I honestly can't believe that we landed here from just those
Yes,
random shapes with the
yes.
lasso tool.
Mhm.
I mean, we've got like like 6 minutes till wrap up, but like
Oh,
that this is still like really awesome. I mean, if anyone has any other questions, I know I have
yeah.
a few questions for
Sure.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm just like marveling at your process.
Oh, thank
But
you.
I mean, do you, so I mean, no, we're doing like a spooky themed stream
Mhm.
here, but do you have like favorite things that you draw or like favorite subjects or something that you like to draw?
Yeah, I love figure drawing a lot.
Okay.
I do that, and since I'm pivoting over to character design and have been for a while, the
Oh,
other thing I love doing is there's a site called animationscreencaps.com, and I try to take it's all the animation, it's all the screen caps from all the animated movies, I think all of them. And I go through and like let's say I want to focus on a Disney character, like let's say I'm gonna have to draw a princess. So I'll go and focus on princesses, and I'll just sit and draw heads over and over and over, and it's monotonous.
Wow.
And that probably says a lot to my crazy psyche. But the thing is that drawing heads and drawing figures are and pose sheets and expressions just, oh, I love it so much. So going to coffee shops and drawing, I could do that all day long as well.
That is so cool. I mean, it really shows like, I mean, you have all this experience for all these years, but like the fact that you're still talking about like, I just sit down with the work and I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
do it over and
Mm-hmm.
over and over again.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's really like, I don't know, a testament to like who you are as an artist and your
Well, thank
process
you.
and your dedication to, I mean, the craft and but
Mm-hmm.
like you also love it. So I would
Oh
assume
yeah.
it doesn't really feel like, you know,
No.
too crazy.
Mm-mm. And
But
I
yeah.
go ahead.
No, 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 no. You go, Scott, because I
Oh,
was
I
just
was
going to
gonna.
ask about animation.
Oh, well, I was going to say I do this with environments as well. I like
Okay.
environments and I can do them and do backgrounds, but I just like characters so much more.
Yeah.
So same principle applies when I do an environment. I do the same exact setup, just with mountains and a house and stuff. What was you were asking about animation?
Yeah. So do you animate your work like afterwards sometimes or
Kinda. I have in the past.
that's cool.
So I guess a decade ago, I fell in love with After Effects and
Mm.
like spent, I don't know, like all my free time learning animation and stuff. And it's fun until you go and look at the file on your computer going, why don't I have any space left? And it's like 8 million gigs of, stuff that you do. So I
Yeah.
like doing it. Animation is yet that's an, like I work in the animation industry as a visual developer, visual
Mhm.
designer. So the movie before the movie, basically, is
Yeah.
what you're doing. Whereas with animators, you're taking a character and springing it to life and drawing it, from different angles and stuff. So character designer's job is like, let's say we're going to take our little vampire here. I
Mhm.
would do what he looks as his full body, what it looks like from all different directions, some poses. So when the animator looks at that, goes, "Oh, so this is what they want." So
Ah.
an animator, a true blue person that animates and does, keyframes and or in betweens, they're focusing on an entirely different skill set and art form that I could learn. I just don't want to learn though, but because it's so tough. But um, gosh, I don't even know. Like Aaron Blaise,
Oh.
Blaise. Aaron is an old school Disney animator, and he has a lot of animations on his stuff. And he did a lot of animations for Brother Bear, and
Oh,
so he's got these
nice.
big swoopy moves of
I
animals and stuff.
love that movie.
Beautiful. Yes, I know. It's one of my favorites.
That's
Um,
awesome. And then speaking, just like one last question before we hit our
sure.
wrap up,
Mhm.
what's like your favorite project that you've worked on? It could be recent, it could be like of all time, but yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it is extremely recent. So
Okay.
I'm gonna minimize my window. So I did all these characters like I said, I just came back from wait, is okay, good. It shows. I just came back from LA to give a talk and present at
Oh,
Lightbox Animation Expo. And
wow.
my talk was about it's the journey, not the goal, like or the destination. Like we all, everybody's like, oh yeah, one day I want to go work with Walt Disney himself on the best movie, and that's great and stuff. But it's about this right here, where
Mhm.
you're on your journey, and I get to meet you and make a new friend, and that's so much more important. So all these characters are some of my friends. Drawn in kind of a Dungeons and Dragons style, and that's how I gave my talk. Was like, you need a warrior or a barbarian, you need a fighter, and there's some wizards. And so this was it was very, very recent, and I had to move very quick, and I was really happy the way all the characters came out. And like I said, this is just me cleverly saying, and I teach this kind of stuff. So we have this, and the site is down here for that. So that's the only way I
Amazing.
can make it there. But
Yeah.
this was my all-time has been my all-time favorite project so far, and it is
Wow.
it is very recent, like a week, 2 weeks old, that I
That's
got everything done.
amazing. I love
But
that.
no, thank you. I mean, I worked on Shrek, that was fun, and I worked on like I said, I worked on a feature under Jindy Tartakovsky on with Sony, and that was really cool. But to have the ability to do your own personal project and do your own world, and you get to do everything, is so much more fun than anything I've worked on as far as anything corporate America or also in the industry, only
No,
because it's
definitely.
me and I get to call the shots. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, Scott. So if we could just do a quick wrap of what we saw from you today and then where
sure.
people can find you on the internet.
Sure. So when you say quick wrap, do I need to give some
Oh,
information?
you could just pull up Photoshop again and just, we started
Sure.
here and we ended up here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is where we started. Actually, we can even go back even further. I started with
Yeah,
these,
I know.
just three shapes, just
Mhm.
for fun. And what this was all 90 minutes, and this is 90 minutes of me jabbing as well. And then I made this is I do this in my head now. I don't do this anymore unless I'm really struggling with a look or feel. I always put down my grid, at least in my head, but I always look at it. I look at these shapes as a form. This is how my brain looks at it. From there, oh yeah, that was some stuff I was talking about. I'll add in it, like this is the fun stuff for me. It's like, how do you make these people look? And there's a
Yeah.
whole other part of character design I can't, we don't have time to get into, but these are just some concepts that I go with first. And then this is why I keep all my files the way I do. So
Hmm.
I'll come in with more of a clean look. And with these guys, oh, so these guys are, you just do sketches, you just work on your line work that way. And then we come into this. And if I can get this within 20 seconds, can I do it? My handle is sthig art.
Oh yeah,
And
gotta add your handle.
yeah, ta-da! That's me on
Boom.
the
Ama-
internet. So
Amazing. Thank you so much, Scott, for joining
thank
us. And thank
you.
you, all of you in the chat, for joining us. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Yay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.